Hi friends, my name's Grace and I'm so stinking excited to be filming this video because today we're talking about books. I used to be the type of person that would read like maybe one book every couple of years, and I would only read things that were assigned for class. There was no fun reading outside of class, but whatever is in the air in 2023, I don't know, but I have become a total book nerd. I think I've read 17 books so far and it's July. So today I'm gonna be sharing my favorite 8 books I've read that I think are must reads for everyone in their 20s. There's a kind of a mix of topics, honestly, and I'm gonna be saving my favorite one that was the most life-changing book for last because I already know I'm gonna go on a tangent about it, so we're gonna save that for the end. If you like me, if you like books, if you like YouTube videos, if you wanna hear more, subscribe, give it a thumbs up, or maybe don't. You have the freedom to do what you want. Okay. Let's talk about the books. I read all my books on my iPad, so I don't have the physical copy of the book anymore, but I'm gonna put the picture of what the cover looks like up on the screen so it's easy to find. I'm also gonna link all the books down below, so if you wanna grab them, you can as well. Book number 1 is Braving the Wilderness by Brené Brown. I read this book a few years ago, actually. The book is all about your sense of belonging, and it genuinely helped me find my confidence in myself and find my belonging in different spaces I was going into. I will not spoil it because there's a quote in the book that totally changed my life, but I don't want to give it to you because then if you read the book, you'll already know the quote beforehand and that could spoil the whole feeling it gives you when you read it. So not gonna spoil it. I've heard a lot of good things about all of Brené Brown's books, but I've only read that one and then I think one other one, but I cannot remember the name off the top of my head. She is a really, really good author, so definitely recommend Braving the Wilderness. It was a 5 out of 5. I remember rating it 5 out of 5. Book number 2 is called 30 Lessons for Living, Tried and True Advice from the Wisest Americans by Carl Pillemer. I think that's how you say his last name. This book was such a tearjerker. I cried through the entire thing, which probably sounds so dramatic, but basically it makes sense, okay? I promise you it makes sense because this author, he interviewed, I think it was over 1,000 elderly people, and he asked them what their advice would be for their whole life and the advice they would want to give to their younger self. And then he broke it up into different chapters in the book. So, there's a chapter about love and I think one about finances and travel, etc. And he integrates in most of their advice into the book. And holy cannolis, okay? It was just emotional, hearing from people who are, 96 years old and can't physically travel anymore, giving advice on the meaning of travel, the meaning of exploration in their 20s. Just a total game changer of a book. It's one of those books too that I feel like you would want to reread over and over because each time, depending on what phase of your life you're in, you will take something from it that's different. I know for me, I took a lot of the insights about travel because I actually happened to be on a really long trip at the time when I was reading the book, but I know that I will definitely reread it again and I might learn something different each time I read it. I personally grew up with my grandparents until I was around 15, but I don't have any of my grandparents left in my 20s, and I feel like a lot of the questions I'd want to ask them or life advice I would want to learn from them, I can't. And I just think that having the opportunity to learn from so many people who have lived literally 5 times as long as us is such a unique thing. And I love that this book just really sums it up into one easy to read book. It was easy to read, it was engaging. I truly wish the book was longer. I was so sad when it ended. Book number 3 is The Happiest Man on Earth by Eddie Jaku. This book is about a Holocaust survivor and his experience going through the Holocaust and his experience after the Holocaust, kind of going back to living a normal, free life. I think the Holocaust is a topic that everyone should know about and should learn about, but I don't think it's talked about enough in school. And I think that genuinely understanding it gives you so much perspective on the world. I will say it was definitely a bit of a reality check. I'm wow, I'm sitting here being upset over certain things that are going on in my life. And this man is literally talking about not even getting to actually live his life freely until, half his life is gone or a quarter of his life is gone because he spent it in concentration camps. It's also just a really incredible book about resilience because his story is truly so inspiring. It really just gives you that mindset boost of holy cow, we as people are capable of so much more. And I find that a lot of those self-improvement books that are about that, where it's you can do anything, I believe in you. It's okay, shut up. It doesn't resonate for me, but hearing someone's story about how he truly overcame everything he went through and how he still has such a positive mindset on life, that to me is inspiring. It is also a pretty easy read. It's not long, it's not complicated, language to understand. It's not history book dense type of wording. Book number 4 is Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. I think that's how you say his last name. Housel? I don't know. This book is the perfect mix of learning facts about money and also talking about the psychology of money in a really easy to understand way. And I know I just used the title to describe the book. Don't come for me on that, okay? For example, one of the things he talks about was when the 401k actually came to be and what year it came to be in and how it came to be and all of that, which I found actually insightful to learn. A lot of the stuff that we think is just so normal in our society, like a 401k, wasn't actually invented that long ago. So it really helped me understand why things are the way they are, but also cut myself some slack in that, you know, we're all still learning how to do these things, how to use these things, you know? Truly, like this book will show you how much things have evolved in just a very short period of time. And it also really goes into the psychology of money and how we place limiting beliefs on ourselves when it comes to how we handle money, how we earn money, etc. I am gonna read you my favorite quote from the book because this just really encapsulates the whole vibe for the book. And this quote just like changed the game for me and my perspective on making money. It says, "The highest form of wealth is the ability to wake up every morning and say, I can do whatever I want today. People want to become wealthier to make them happier. Happiness is a complicated subject because everyone's different. But if there's a common denominator in happiness, a universal fuel of joy, it's that people want to control their lives." When I read that quote, I was like, you are so right. Like making money to me is not about being the richest, wealthiest person ever. It's not about having 27 boats and a big old mansion. It's about having control over my day and my time and my life and being able to just make the decisions that I want to make and to be able to live where I want to live and do what I want to do. That's why I care about it. Again, 5 out of 5, must read Psychology of Money. Book number 5 might be a little bit controversial, but it's called Beyond the Pill by Jolene Brighten. The reason I say it's controversial is because it is about coming off the hormonal birth control pill and the impact of hormonal birth control on uterus having people's bodies. I read this book when I had just come off of the hormonal birth control pill after being on it for, I want to say it was around 5-ish years. And one thing I will say is I wish she cited her sources a bit more directly. She does have them cited in the back of the book, so you can find the footnote and go to the back and see where it's from. I will say though, it is a super, super informative book for women to read specifically, and I think in your 20s, especially lately, I feel like I've seen a lot of people on social media saying that they're coming off of hormonal birth control now in their 20s. And it might just be because they don't want to be on the pill. It might be because they're trying to conceive. But I really think it's one of those books that you should read. I learned so much about the female cycle that I had no idea about. And with that, I've learned how to take care of my body in different ways now that I know how my body actually works. I know it probably sounds crazy, but I found out that women have a 28-day cycle and men have a 24-hour hormone cycle, which wasn't something that I knew. I didn't learn it in school. I didn't talk about that with my parents. And now that totally changes how I go about a lot of things I do because I'm able to understand when in my cycle I have more energy, when in my cycle I need to maybe sleep more or rest more, or, you know, what types of exercise support my hormones better throughout my cycle. One thing I'll say about the book is it does look really intimidating when you look at how many pages it is, but I will say the whole back of the book is all of the recipes that she mentions throughout the book, so it actually doesn't take you as long to read as it might seem when you look at the initial page count. So I think really taking your health seriously in your 20s is super important, and I think reading books like this is crucial, especially if you're a woman in your 20s. Book number 6 is called The Pathless Path by Paul Millerd. I'm gonna explain this book because this book was not really new news to me because I own my own business and I'm 24, but I will say, I think a lot of people in their 20s have been pressured into going into 9-to-5s or picking some sort of job they don't actually like. And if that is the scenario that you're in, this book I think will be very, very freeing and enlightening for you. This book gives you a lot of insights on how to create a career that feels good to you, and maybe a career that isn't just like one 9-to-5. Maybe it's made up of several different things that make you money, and all of those together create a full-time income. I personally believe that your 20s are the best time to take risks like that and jump into different careers, try different things out, find a career or something to do that makes money that feels good to you, rather than just like going into a 9-to-5 you don't actually like. So if you are in that scenario and you are feeling stuck in your career, I think this book is so good to read. Book number 7, I am gonna have to do it. I know it's probably in every single video like this, but Atomic Habits by James Clear. I listened to the audiobook of this on Spotify. It used to be posted on Spotify. I don't know if it's there anymore. I listened to it a couple of years ago, and even just listening to the audiobook in the background while I was working, I gained so much from this book, and it is on my list to actually reread again because it's, again, one of those books that I feel like you'll take something different from each time you read it. I think it truly does give you the cheat code to building and maintaining sustainable habits, regardless of the type of habit you want to build or how often you want to do that habit or whatever. It really gives you like how to break down building a habit and follow through. Again, I think that investing in ourselves, in our habits, and our personal development in our 20s is so important, and I think it is a really good read to learn how to do that. It also was a really easy read and a short read while I was listening to it, but it did go by pretty fast, and it was actually super engaging to listen to, so I can imagine it would be the same way if you're actually reading the physical book. And the last book, book number 7, the one that changed the game for me that I will always freaking talk about, is Rich as F. I'm not gonna cuss in this video because we don't want to get demonetized, by Amanda Frances. I don't know what is inside this book. I don't know, but it was addicting to read. I could not put this book down, and I have not felt that way about a lot of books I have read. I mean, the ones in this video were ones that I felt like I couldn't really put down. I loved reading them, but this book, so freaking good, okay? I will say you do have to believe in manifestation, or at least be open to the idea of manifestation if you're gonna read this book, because that's pretty much what it's about: manifesting money and figuring out how to grow wealth in a way that feels really good. After reading this book, I had my highest income month ever. I literally doubled my income that month in my business, which was crazy. But I truly believe in manifestation, and I truly believe the reason why that happened is because I read this book and then I was at the frequency of those things that I wanted to attract, which was more money. If your money mindset needs a reboot, this is the book to read. I promise you, it is so stinking good. Amanda, the author, she grew up with pretty much nothing, and she lived in poverty for a long time, and now she's like a multi-millionaire. Like, she's making a lot of money now. I also didn't find this book cheesy at all. Sometimes I find that these like manifestation books and things about money can just be a little like, you know? I genuinely found it to be super helpful, and I recommend this book to everybody. My friends are probably sick of me because I talk about it so much, but I truly think that if you're in your 20s and you want to have a better relationship with money, read this book, please. Okay? Okay, those are all 8 of my favorite books, the must-read books in your 20s. I would love to know what recommendations you have because I need to add more books onto my Goodreads list. So let me know in the comments what your favorite books to read in your 20s are. And if you want to grab any of the books, you will find the links down below in the description box. Again, if you like me, if you like books, if you like this video, if you like, I don't know, watching videos about books, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and stay tuned for more. And I'll see you guys next one. Bye.